make sure the audio's okay. Can you talk for me?
Check, check. 1, 2.
Let's go.
Mic check for the amazing crew.
All right, guys. Super hyped, super excited for our first ever Creator Spotlight. Go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
So my name is Zach Pisano, but some of you might know me as just Zach. That is pretty much my handle on all of my different forms of the social medias. And I am a Warzone and FPS content creator, mostly for AOG.
That is so awesome. How long have you been streaming?
I have been streaming for probably about 3.5 years now.
And has that always been on Twitch, or were you on other platforms?
So when I started about 3 years ago, I didn't even know Twitch was a thing. So 2019, I had no idea what Twitch was. I knew that one of my favorite streamers, Spiros, streamed on YouTube. And so I started streaming on YouTube first. And then I heard about Twitch by watching a video on YouTube, ironically. And so I ended up going over to Twitch because I was like, oh, it's a huge like streamer and gamer hub where I could meet a lot of great people. So I ended up going there, and that's pretty much how that got started.
That's awesome. I feel like YouTube's a really great place, but I feel like more live. I feel like there's just more live viewers on Twitch than there is on YouTube.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, how do you like to incorporate faith in your streaming and content that you do?
Yeah, so pretty much what I let people know is I let people know that I'm a believer in God. You can also see there's some Bible verses on my wall here that can be read during my streams, which is really cool. But the main thing I let people know is that I'm a believer in God, but the people in the chat do not have to be. However, if we are talking about God, I let them know that we talk about difficult discussions. And by difficult, I mean that a lot of people don't want to talk about them. And so I incorporate God by talking about him and by letting him know how much that he loves people and how much that I love people. And so I feel like a big thing that I kind of emanate is God's love for people and how God feels about people. And so if I could show God's love, no matter if someone's a believer or an unbeliever, then that's a great way to reach out to them and just plant a seed.
Absolutely. I really feel like that's where you have to start, especially with non-believers. Just meeting those people where they are and knowing that they're loved and letting God's light shine through you. I feel like he just does the rest of the work, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
That's
also
awesome.
pointing him to other great Christian creators. So, I mean, I absolutely love just showing people these are also Christian creators that you guys might enjoy as well. And most of the time they end up enjoying them. And so if they get to be surrounded by creators that know them and love them all the same, then they'll feel a lot more welcome and feel a lot more that inclusivity and love that they should be from the get-go.
And that's what I love so much about AOG and getting to meet literally all of you is just the love. And once somebody gets plugged into even just one person's stream and then they see that there's so many more streamers and content creators and they get involved with all of these different communities, it's just amazing. That's
Absolutely.
what I love about AOG. All right, well, tell me a little bit about your faith, your faith journey. Have you always been a believer?
So essentially, I guess what my quote unquote origin story would be is I grew up in a churched home, and I use that quote a lot because some people don't exactly say it. I got it actually from one of my friends in college. When he told his testimony, he said, "I grew up in a churched home. We went to church, but I never knew why. It was always just a thing we did on Sunday." And that was exactly the same as me. I grew up in a churched home. We went to church. I didn't know why. It was something we did on Sunday. Didn't want to wake up, didn't want to get dressed, didn't want to go out and do that. And so I never quite knew why until later on in life. But even before then, I grew up in a very abusive home. like my father was he was very abusive. He also abused like drugs and alcohol, and so there was one time in our lives that he completely kicked us out of our house. Like we had nowhere to go. He took over the entire house and wouldn't let us back in, threatened with violence and a whole bunch of things. And there was nothing we could really do because, like us kids, that was a time when the kids didn't have cell phones, and my mom didn't even have a phone because it broke. So we were just kind of out on our own. And these people from a new church that we were just going to, we just had moved to the area. They invited us to live with them for the time being, which turned out to be 3 months. So we ended up living with this family, and I knew that they weren't like super, super well off. And they also had 3 boys around my age. I think so the youngest is a year younger than me. Their oldest was 2 years, or their second oldest was 2 years older than me, and their oldest was 5 years old. And so they were all around the same age, which means one, hefty appetites. So definitely tough to keep food on the table with 3 growing boys, let alone another one. And I also have a twin sister, but then also my mom and then their parents. Like it was a lot of people to feed at that time, and they were doing it out of their own pockets. And so one day I went up to the dad and I asked him, I was like, why did you guys take us in? Like you have 3 boys. And I was like, I know how much I eat, and I'm an athlete as well on top of that. And so like I'm eating a bunch of food, and I don't want to be always eating your guys' food. And he kind of stopped me right there. This is when he was working in his shop. He stopped me right there, and he goes, we're happy and so blessed to have you guys in our household. And I asked him why. Why is that? He said because Jesus first loved us, and so we want to love on others as he loved us. And so I asked him about like who Jesus was and who God was, and then I started getting plugged in more with. It turns out he was a youth pastor at the church that we were going to, so I started getting plugged in more to that, and I started understanding a lot more in my later years of high school, like junior year into senior year, kind of God was and Jesus was, and just seeing his love and the happiness that he creates, just it literally like radiated. It was the craziest thing. See how happy their family was, didn't have the most stuff or anything like that, but they made the most of it, and they had fun, and they loved each other, and that was something that I hadn't experienced.
That makes me like super emotional. It's that is the prime example right there. That light that he showed to you is the prime example of what we're doing here, you know? It's that one act of kindness. It's that one thing, that one love that somebody's looking for. And that's God, you know? And it makes me so emotional just to like hear your story, and just to see where you are today is just so amazing. And I'm just so proud of you.
Well, thank you. No, I mean, so another thing too is, looking back at that time, a lot of people are like, oh, do you wish like your dad had loved you more? Do you wish that time was different? And every time I'm going to say no, because without that broken time in my life, without the time that felt like it was one of the lowest times in my life, I would never have known who God was. I would have never encountered who God was. I would have never known how Jesus loves us. Any of that stuff, had I not had an abusive father, had I not had been kicked out of our house, had this family not taken us in from a brand new church, brand new place that we just moved into, and yeah, so it made me think even more, and it helps me also see that like my brokenness can help people in their brokenness a lot more, and I can meet people where they're at and empathize with them, and provide any sort of comfort or welcoming to to any and everybody, whether it's through entertainment or whether it's through just being.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like God always, like, even if we don't see it in the middle of our storms or our rough patches, God always uses those for his good, whether it's, like you said, being able to sympathize or empathize with someone who is also going through that or has gone through that. And it's just really awesome to see that you realize that, because some people don't. Some people look at their past and everything that they've been through and they're like, wow, why did that happen? Like, why would God let something like that happen to me? And then there's people like you who clearly see why it happened, and you use it for his good. And you're bringing people to God, and that's just amazing. So let's talk a little bit about AOG. How did you find AOG?
I guess the best way to put it is AOG found me. Because so just as I gradually went through streaming, a lot of the people who are leaders in AOG, like AOG hadn't even been created yet. I think it was just a brainchild in their minds, but Elf Siege became one of my mods quite quick. The same thing with King of Puffins, and so just early on as we were streaming and creating content and everything on Twitch, like we were gradually growing our own communities and everything like that. And then one day, they had talked about how like this idea they were gonna go for. And then they went for it, and then they're like, hey Zach, how do you feel about being a creator for us? And how do you feel about like, you know, being a Warzone creator for us, and also just like doing a lot of competitive things. And so yeah, these guys have been there for a long time. I'm pretty sure it's been years. They caught me pretty early on in streaming, and I honestly could not be more proud of how far they've come, but also how humbled I was to be asked to be one of the first creators. I think I might have been the first creator.
You are the first. Yep.
Yeah.
You are the first.
And so just these guys are awesome. If you guys don't know who Elf Siege is, King of Puffins, Ivory John, and oh my gosh, I think I'm forgetting some more. Oh, help build this. Wow, right on the spot too. Of course, my brain malfunctions on the spot.
Those are the main guys. You got a lot of people that help, but those are the three.
No, a ton of people that helped, but like if you've never met these guys, honestly, they're just so consistent and so supportive. And even if they're literally not like woven into every possible piece of fabric of what you're doing, they're honestly there when you need them most. And so yeah, they are literally like I got to meet Elf Siege in person. I can't wait to meet all of them in person and get to hang out with them and actually talk with them and get to enjoy a day, because Elf caught me when I was working. Elf came to my place of work and he said hi, and that meant a lot actually, because that just shows that like they'll go out of their way even to spend 10 minutes of a day with you, even to say hi.
Yeah.
You travel to the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin.
That's crazy. What is it like for you? Because I know like what it's like for me when I joined AOG and how much it's grown since then. But what is it like for you being the literal first content creator? What's it like for you to like just sit back for a second and look at everything that's happening?
It's incredible. Like I can't stress this enough. They had a goal in mind and they went after it, and it's become what it's become because they were persistent. It didn't just become AOG. We didn't find all of these amazing creators just because they let them come to us. They actively sought out people. They actively sought out building their resources and networking and going to events and hosting events and doing all these different things that like there's like, the saying, you got to spend money to make money. But in this case, it doesn't have to do with money. It has to do with like they're spending their time and their effort and resources and all this stuff to see the betterment of an organization, betterment of people, and the betterment of God's kingdom. And it's so inspiring and awesome just to see like they went after their goals. So like, why not I go after my goals? Like it's super inspiring. It is.
It's amazing. It is crazy, like for me to sit back and just realize, and even like today and tomorrow, like things are constantly happening. People are constantly being added, and it's just crazy to me where they've come. And like you said, it's amazing when you get a group of people together who are just working together. And then they've added so many people that are able to, like Erin, for example, she does so much behind the scenes work. She's so good at what she does. And it's God bringing the right people at the right time when they've needed it. And it's amazing just to sit back and watch.
Oh, it's honestly so cool. Like when it first started and if things first started to grow and they started to bring on more creators, I was like, awesome. Look at these really, really cool creators. And then there's another creator the next day, and I'm like, there's another one. And then there's another one the next day, and the next day, and then like the next week there's like 10 of them, and like it just kept snowballing. And I was like, wow, where are they finding all of these amazing people and creators? And it just goes to show like that's how much they care about this, and that's how much they look. Like that's how much they actually like actively seek out these creators and learn about these creators. Like, are they a good fit for us? If so, we have to get to know them, their content, their community, and their love for Christ at the same time. And they do it also effectively, efficiently, and in just such an awe-inspiring manner that you gotta take a step back and like look at how everything's gone, and it'll wow you.
You just see God. You see God through it all, through every single person. And word spreads fast, like you talk to people and they're like, hey, what's AOG? Like anything on people's streams, like the little logo, the Bible verses, when people have stuff pop up in their stream that say anything about AOG, they're like, hey, what's AOG? What's AOG? And then they get in the Discord, and then, it spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is a piece of advice you would have for another Christian streamer?
Another Christian streamer? I guess for me, being a very open creator, this is something that I personally struggle with for being an openly active Christian streamer is feeling like that not only like people are judging you, but that you are also judging people based on your beliefs. And I'll go into detail a little bit more on that, like how people feel judged if you say that you are a Christian creator. But the thing is to never be afraid to represent God in the best way possible. Just because someone feels judged doesn't mean that you're judging. And just because other people might be judging you for being a creator doesn't mean that person holistically knows who you are, because the only one who does know who you are is God.
That's right.
So like push upon that path, stress upon that path, and don't be ashamed of that path. And if like the specific route that you're on, maybe the certain content that you're creating, or the people that you're collaborating with, if that's not like where you're meant to be, like pray about it. Seek God first, because I know that that's been a big prayer for me, is asking God, like, where do you want me? And praying that His will be done and His timing, that it'll all happen. Because streaming is stressful. Streaming is is tough. It takes a toll on you. You can get a quick burnout of it, and you never know what might happen next. And say that do get a little famous. Okay, remember you said one thing. I'm gonna say a bunch of things.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. Take it away.
If you guys know me, you know that I have a really big saying of long story long, because there's no short stories. They're all long stories.
We got time.
Yeah. If you ever do experience any form of success or what you think is success, thank God for it. Praise him for it, and ultimately keep him first. Because like I noticed that early on I started on fire for God, and then it started to trickle away a little bit, and then I started to really like struggle. But then when things started to get better, I noticed that I was putting God first. And so I didn't even focus on the numbers or the income or the status or anything like that. And so just make sure you're having him first and praising him for the little things.
The little things, that's right. That is so important to remember. And you can look back and you can say, okay, I can see these parts in my life where I was focusing on God and I had him first in my life, and how successful I was in all of these things. Then you can look back and say, man, I really got off the path there, and I can see that was the reason why. Yeah. And that's awesome. Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining me tonight and for being our first ever, oh goodness, our first ever Creator Spotlight creator. I appreciate you so much, and thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me. Really, like it's such a pleasure, and honestly, like there truly, like I say this, and I'm not actually joking. There's never really a day that goes by where I look at the goals that I have and where I was, and not notice that AOG has been a large step along that way. So even when I might be posting like, hey, one day I want to be an Oni Studios or 100 Thieves content creator, the very first organization that I'm ever going to remember is AOG.
That's right. But that's the point. It's to get you to where you want to be and to send you out into wherever you want to be to share God.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, I think, the community that we're building here, and that's what I love so much about it.
Yeah, same. For sure, 100%. This has become something greater than I honestly even ever knew it could be. And I don't want to put words into LC's mouth or Ivory's mouth or Puffin's mouth, but I don't know if they even expected things to grow like this and to be like this when they were just brainstorming this nutty idea.
Elf said no, not at all. It's God.
Yeah.
God works in mysterious ways.
Absolutely. And also, I love the jersey in the background that you have up there, because I was like, wow, they have like the Sword Dog. I remember when they got the Sword Dog merch, and when a whole bunch of other things were happening as well. Just all the sponsors that started coming in, and I honestly can't wait to look back and to just see how even further that they could go.
Yep, literally every day. I mean, we have people joining the Discord. We have people wanting to be content creators. We're getting our esports teams formed. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Super exciting stuff. Before we go, when and where can we find you live?
So I'm usually live on Twitch Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, because I also do have a part-time job, and I do my best to also do work around the house. But Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, I'm usually live during the main heart of the day, which kind of doesn't work out for some people. Trying to figure out a nice balance of times. It's twitch.tv/just_Zach. That's also my YouTube as well. So if I do go live there, just_Zach will be where you're going to find me in the search bar.
Thank you so much, Zach. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Peace, people.